Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with another episode of GRAFFTV. Today we have graffiti royalty in the studio. He's a LA legend, a Hall of Famer, and a graffiti pioneer. One of the few writers to ever go all city. An innovator who literally wrote the book on Los Angeles graffiti history. He's a founding father and a graph historian. From the Legion of Doom, the original interstate freeway killer. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only WISK WCA. Hey man, it's great to meet you and an honor to have you here. I have so many questions for you, but let's start with your cruise. Can you give us a rundown of all the crews you're in, man?
Absolutely. Like you said, West Coast artists. That's my heart right there. That was the first crew that I was in. Then I started IFK, Interstate Freeway Killers. I started BC, Blue Crew, and I started RTD Killers. I got into OTR a long time ago. Price put me down, rest in peace. I'm in RF, Rapid Fire. I'm in KOG, Killers of Giants. In New York, I'm in AOK. I'm in LOD, one of the original members from LOD. I hope I'm not missing any.
Wow, man, that's
Yeah.
a long list of legendary LA and New York crews. Now, let's start the interview with your parents, actually. Where are they from?
My dad, he was in the Lincoln Park area. And my mom, she was like in the Little Valley area. And they met on Whittier Boulevard. They came back from a Midnighters concert. And my mom and her girlfriends were walking down Whittier Boulevard going home. And my dad and his homeboys were in their Ramfla, and they just they must have tripped out and saw my mom. He jumps out and he starts talking to her.
Nice.
And,
what type of person was your father and your mother? Can you describe the type of people they were?
My dad was, they took him from the Vadio to Vietnam.
Wow.
He was 101st Airborne Division Screaming Eagle. I learned a lot from my dad, I learned a lot from my mother as well. What can I say? They just did a great job.
Nice. Where were you born?
I was born in East L.A. Yeah.
Nice. What part of East L.A. did you grow up in? Did you grow up in East L.A.?
We did. I remember growing up in East L.A., but I'm definitely from the west side,
What was East L.A. like in those days growing up?
I used to live right next to the local neighborhood, and I used to trip out on them and how they dressed and how they walked and, them partying with girls and stuff. And that's just how I grew up. I grew up in the Vadio, so I always understood what it was like, the LA culture. I just thought that was just like how Angelinos did it. I didn't even know that, it was like its own little sect of the world, I just thought that's just my neighborhood.
Do you have any brothers and sisters?
I do, yep. I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers.
Are you the oldest, middle, youngest?
I'm the oldest.
Nice.
Yep.
Who are you named after? Is there a story behind that?
Yeah. I'm a junior, actually. My dad thought that, his firstborn was going to have his name, so.
Around this early time while you're growing up in East LA, what type of kid were you? Were you a troublemaker, into school?
Yeah, I went to school, and because I looked white, I always, had this idea that I was a surfer, which was different from the cholos. You know what I mean? Like, everybody was a cholo. I was a surfer. My hair was long. I wore OP shorts, lightning bolt shirts, slip-on Vans, you know, puka shell necklace, and I subscribed to Surfer magazine as a kid. But you know, when I was 10 years old, I started ditching, smoking weed.
At 10 years old, what happens
Yeah.
for you to go that route?
It was just a natural progression of my life. It wasn't like I thought about, like, you know, I just naturally progressed to that.
At age 11, you experienced hip hop for the first time.
Yep.
Where was this? And what did you see there?
Yeah, you know, my mom used to work at Kaiser in Hollywood. So she would take us to the Boys and Girls Club, where the Home Depot is now, just not too far away from here. And at the Boys and Girls Club, I seen all these different elements of hip hop. You know, I saw people doing windmills. I saw people with black books. I saw people in ciphers, like, you know, and I'm just like, man, this is a trip. Like, these guys all have like their own little activity, and I was interested in all of it, you know. But I was really fascinated with those guys that were writing. I'm like, hey, you know, you're doing bubble letters and stuff. Like, what is that called? And they said it's called striking. I'm like, striking? Wow, that sounds pretty weird, you know. So I started striking myself, you know. At that age, I didn't really, you know, go deep into it, but I was influenced by then.